Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 15, Episode 50. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being back with us this Monday, Steelers Nation. Another victory Monday for the Pittsburgh Steelers as they knocked off the Washington Commanders 28-27 on Sunday. Pittsburgh now 7-2 overall, remain in first place in the AFC North, and I believe the number 3 seed overall in the AFC, currently behind only the undefeated Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. So, Dave, the Steelers did it again. They found a way to win. Was probably an uglier, messier game in some respects, but that is the way the Pittsburgh often wins, and they did it still while scoring more points than past years or the pre-Russell Wilson era, we can say. And so a win is a win, and to get that win over a quality Commanders team on the road should be commended.
Absolutely. What an exciting game that was. Went into it knowing this was going to be a pretty good game. It could have obviously been, a little bit better on the Steelers' end, especially defensively late in the first half there, but they got things straightened out later in the game. It's amazing how you roll back through these things and you can usually boil it down to 4 or 5 plays on each side of the ball that made huge differences in this game or in a game. And that's exactly, what you had when in the case of this, man, when they were down, what was it, 10 points or so? And especially after that, Jaylen Warren fumbled deep down in the end of Washington's end. Kind of wondered, man, are they gonna get this thing done or not? But they persevered, and this is a do not quit team. And you got an experienced quarterback like Russell Wilson, and it doesn't feel like you're out of any game, and hasn't felt like that way any at all this season.
Yeah, you're right. And Pittsburgh finds a way to get it done late, some big defensive stands. And then, of course, Russell Wilson hitting the newly acquired Mike Williams for a 32-yard touchdown to be the game winner in that contest. So welcome to Pittsburgh. Mike Williams trade already paying off. I thought Preston Smith and Mike Williams both had really positive contributions in this game. Dave, before we get into some of the housekeeping things that happened before the game, injuries that happened in game, just give me a quick top line, Cliff Notes version of how you viewed this game unfolding, how it went, and why Pittsburgh ultimately won.
How I viewed it unfolding. I was very impressed with the Washington offense on tape coming into this game. I was a bit underwhelmed with what I saw, with what they were trying to do. Now, obviously, they were without their 2 starting tackles in this, and I think that probably played a little role in this. It just seemed like the Washington offense wasn't as sharp or anywhere close to being as sharp. Now, they did have some strides on the ground game. They were better in the red zone. We had highlighted talking about how, or at least I did in the keys, about how Washington's red zone had struggled coming into this game and how good the Steelers' red zone was. It ended up being a flip of that. They got the red zone problem. They were, both teams were really good inside the red zone. I thought both teams would move the ball fairly regularly down the field. There were probably a lot more 3 and outs, 4 and outs than I thought it would be. I thought offensively the Steelers would be able to take some shots down the field, and it took a little while, but they were ultimately able to do that. What else was there? I mean, it played out, at least in the long game. I kind of figured this would be a little bit higher scoring game, and it was. And and I kind of viewed it. I thought the Steelers would have more control of the game going into the fourth quarter than obviously they had. It ended up being a more of obviously a come from behind situation, and they got it done. But I would say I was underwhelmed by the Washington offense as a whole. And I think that was one of my main takeaways, is that the Steelers did a good job of controlling Jaden Daniels, controlling the Washington running game overall. And I thought that was one of the bigger differences in this game.
Yeah, I think that's well said. My view is that while neither team played probably the exact way the game plan, was envisioned, I thought Pittsburgh got Washington to kind of play their style of game closer than Washington got Pittsburgh to play their style of game, where Washington's offense really lacked a lot of rhythm and fluidity and couldn't get great control. They had some success in this game, of course, still scored 27 points and had success in the red zone, but they were just off kind of consistently. They were really kind of fighting an uphill battle, and Pittsburgh was able to control the pace and kind of got them to play in the mud a little bit more than what I think Washington has been used to this season, with their punts and 3 and outs and slow starts, things that Washington really has not experienced through their excellent, first half of the season. And I think that was kind of the deciding factor. I think you make a great point about the approach to Jaden Daniels, taking his legs out of it, both as a design runner and a scrambler, and then Pittsburgh hitting those big chunk plays. And finishing drives off and making that last play, which is what Pittsburgh classically does, is make the last play, and they won the game.
Yeah, I saw a stat on here from John Keim, a Washington longtime beat writer through True Media Stats, said Pittsburgh sent 5 or more rushes on 19 snaps, a season high for them. Previous high, he states, was 11 versus the Giants last week. He goes on to say that Daniels was 7 of 16 in those situations with 3 sacks. So I think the way the Steelers decided to attack him was to dial up a little bit more pressure on him. We had talked about getting Jaden Daniels in as many of these kind of second and third and long type situations. I thought overall they did that. I thought rush contain overall was or quarterback scramble contain was fantastic in this one because of them. They had a lot of sim pressures in this overall, and I think a couple of times they actually confused Daniels and got the ball to come out probably not on time and on rhythm overall in this. So, props to the Steelers' defensive game plan. They had the bye week ahead of this to kind of get ready for this, and did a lot of self-scouting overall in this, and I think that played a factor in this. And then once again, I as mesmerized as I was about the Commanders' running game or offense as a whole, and running game in particular, they really felt out of sorts. And they did have some, they did pop a few plays in this, but I think even at halftime, they only had one explosive play on the board. And I think they only had one run, I think, of 10 yards or more at that point. And this was been an offense with the Commanders that has done, as we talked about, a fairly good job, top quarter of the NFL in rushing explosive plays of 10 yards or more and passing plays of 10 yards or more. So just good overall execution, I thought, by the Steelers defense. Now, Joey Porter had a rough game overall. Terry McLaurin's going to make plays in games, and he did, and almost was enough to be game-changing plays in this one. And boy, once again, you boil it down to late game situations. Third down, fourth down with the game on the line. Looks like James Pierre's beat over on the right side with kind of a double move. The ball looked to be a little bit underthrown, gave James Pierre time to fight back into the play. Try to get himself back in phase. That was incomplete. And then the fourth down play, I mean, that obviously was probably the ball game right there, with Minka and who was it, Casey coming up to make sure that ball stayed just short of the sticks. And you kind of wondered, when they went to, you knew that thing was going to get reviewed under 2 minutes, and there just didn't seem to be anything conclusive enough whatsoever that would make you move the ball from the original spot, and that obviously was what happened there. So huge couple of plays there. I think even you broke down late or early this morning the tackle that Keanu Benton had on James Daniels trying to escape. Was that second down in that first or second down on that drive, wasn't it? And Daniels was trying to escape, and Benton got him for, what was it, like a one yard gain or 2 yard gain? Forget what it was. But that whole sequence of that Commanders' last few plays there ended up being a huge part of this game.
Yeah, some big defensive stops. That was 1st and 10, right at the 2-minute warning at the Washington 49, a 1 yard scramble for Daniels. If Benton doesn't make that play, that's at least 10 yards, probably more, with Daniels' running ability that probably gets them right into field goal range to play after. TJ Watt, a quiet day overall, but got a pass rush win on Trent Scott that forced an incompletion to Pierre, incompletion on 3rd down you referenced, then the 4th down, game of inches, being able to get that stop just shy of the sticks. Yeah, that's sad about the blitz rate, and I was noticing that as I was going through my charting. I'm almost done with it. And I think some of that was to get pressure, but some of that, rushing 5, being more aggressive than what Pittsburgh has been this year, was more about rush lane integrity, of trying to send 5 to clog and have a guy responsible for every gap, because it's so hard to contain a guy as potent as Daniels with his legs when you're rushing just 4. Because you're obviously 1 gap short. You got 5 gaps there, 5 blockers, 4 rushers. There's going to be something that you can't account for, or your rush has to be so, worried about the escapability of Daniels that you're not really rushing, or kind of mush rushing and just trying to rush to contain, and then you're giving him time to throw. So I think that was very Baltimore-like game plan to try to slow down Daniels, and they did in terms of slowing down his legs and design run game and the improvised scrambling threat that he offers. So that's kind of my top line view of this game. Let's talk housekeeping here, Dave. Pittsburgh making several roster moves on Saturday before the game on Sunday. They activated 2 players off of injured reserve. That was Tyler Matakevich and wide receiver Ben Skoranek. Both have been out since week 2 with hamstring and shoulder injuries, respectively. Both were contributors on special teams. Pittsburgh releasing a pair of players in corresponding moves, and running back Jonathan Ward and strong safety Terrell Edmunds. Edmunds had been ruled out with an illness for this week, so he was not going to play. Ward, we knew, was probably going to be not for long on the 53 with Cordero Patterson getting back healthy. We'll see who, if anyone, goes back to the practice squad. Would not be a surprise if both men, Edmunds and Ward, were re-signed to the practice squad, but those were the roster moves. Were you surprised at Edmunds at all? I think we kind of expected Ward to be the guy, but any eyebrow raising on Edmunds?
I was a little bit surprised. I wondered if it might be Henderson, CJ Henderson, but I was a little bit surprised by that overall. But you got a guy back in Sutton, obviously, who has utility back, as Mike Tomlin calls him, and you get get 2 special teamers back in Matakevich and Skoranek, and I was a little bit surprised, but I mean, not floored.
Yeah. I think the thought was, because it seemed like they had promoted Henderson because they were some team was trying to poach. And I think at this point, if you waive Henderson, somebody probably claims him and tries to take a chance. And cornerback depth has been a little bit thin this year, even with Sutton returning, and Edmunds much more likely to make it through waivers and go to the practice squad. He began to go to the practice squad in Jacksonville, so he may go back there for the time being. He play the elevation game with him if you need to. So those were the housekeeping moves. In-game injuries, there were a couple. Dante Jackson left with a hamstring injury, replaced by James Pierre in the second half. Don't know Jackson's status going forward. Alex Highsmith, certainly one to watch, rolled an ankle late in that game, reportedly on crutches post-game. That's concerning, unfortunate for a guy that's been playing really well. Had just come back from injury a couple of weeks ago when he suffered that groin pull. Hopefully his season is not defined by injuries, but that's another blow there. From the inactive standpoint, Scotty Miller, a healthy scratch in this one with Mike Williams, Skoranek being active. Nick Herbig was ruled out, did not play in this game. Hopefully he can get back, especially with the Highsmith injury. for the Ravens game, Jerry Dulac saying pregame before playing Washington that Herbig was expected to return for Week 11 against Baltimore, and he will be even more needed, assuming Highsmith cannot play against the Ravens.
Yeah, the Dante Jackson, did he play any snaps after getting held on that field goal attempt that they missed? If he did, it wasn't many after that. It was that late in the game. I think when Jackson went down.
He was running and turned, and he was in the middle of a drive.
Okay, all right. So, but it wasn't too long after that, right?
I think it was around that time period, but I don't think it was related to him getting held, but it was around that it was later in the game. I think it was a deep ball to McLaurin over Porter. On the other side, Jackson pulled up lame and Pierre came in and finished it out.
Okay, and the Highsmith, man, you look at that from the replay, the TV tape from every angle. Lucky that thing didn't snap the ankle there. That looked pretty bad overall. So we'll have to we'll obviously hear from Mike Tomlin next and see what he has to say. But I would be absolutely shocked if he is back for the Ravens game.
Yeah, me as well, and that's unfortunate given the gravity of that AFC North matchup that we'll talk about throughout the week. All right, Dave, let's go back to this game. Pittsburgh victors in this one, 28-27.
I guess Najee Harris might be another one to watch, but he did return to the game after rolling that ankles. But those things can probably get tricky after games or whatnot. So we'll have to see what Mike Tomlin says about him. And did Calvin Austin come back into the? I don't think because it was so late and he had to Mike Williams. Did Calvin Austin make it back in the game?
It's a good question. I was going to ask you the same. Tomlin said that everyone else he was aware of that got dinged went back in, but I don't think Austin did. I think he was getting checked by the independent spotter, was mandating him to get checked for a concussion. And like you said, so late that I don't think there was really even opportunity for him to go back in. So we'll see. Broderick Jones missed a couple plays, but he came in. He should be fine. And was there somebody else? I think that was a lot of them. Yeah, Najee missed a little bit of time, but he looked okay overall and may get some limited rest work early in the week of practice, but should be good for the Ravens game as a streak of never missing a game. I would expect that to continue.
Real quick about the one of the elevations, Ben Skoranek, such a good gunner. Is that Miles Boykin part two? They've got to really, hopefully they can keep long season to go. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but look, this is something that even way back during the offseason, I think Josh Carney was one that said, man, this is, that the first highlighted after the Rams parted ways with Skoranek, saying, that this guy would be a fit in Pittsburgh. And, we've I think noted his special teams ability right out of the chute there when he was signed. This is a guy that can get down in the field in a hurry. So good special teams player in him, and obviously came up with the fumble recovery on one of those muffs. Nice of Washington to return the favor there.
Yeah. We'll talk about the fake punt situation with James Pierre here momentarily. So, Pittsburgh winning this one 28-27, moving to 7-2 on the year, and now getting ready for their quartet of AFC North games. First up against Baltimore in week number 11. So it should be a lot of fun and really could shape and define this season truly for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dave, let's start here with the Steelers offense. Again, it was in some moments not as rhythmic, not as fluid as you would like, but you put up 28 points against a quality Washington defense that hadn't been allowing that many points typically throughout the season. And Russell Wilson, what can you say about him? The clutch ability from him, the vertical ball working again, 3 touchdown passes, the first Steeler to throw 3 touchdown passes in a game since Big Ben in week 14 of 2021. That was the infamous Chase Claypool signal first down game. It was the NFL's longest drought of not having one individual throwing at least 3 touchdown passes in a game by a wide margin. And so for Wilson to do that, it just kind of goes back to he's doing things that will be considered normal quarterback play in production in 31 other organizations. In Pittsburgh, it's stuff we haven't seen in a long time. But the context in terms of when he's making those plays, and talk about that game winner to Mike Williams against the Brush, throwing it up there, giving his guys a chance. I think that's the other element. We've talked a lot about his play action that he's brought to this team, but just having trust in his guys to make a play and feeling freedom to let his guys make a play. has also been, I think, a big difference when this team put Wilson in the lineup, and it's paying off in big ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And that experience, man, just that experience at the quarterback position says it all here. We've said several times before, he's a been there, done that kind of guy. That experience shows through in these 3 games. His ability to know what he's looking at, know where he wants to go with the football a lot, and just some of the ball placement that he's making is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. That throw down the sideline to George Pickens, he dropped right in the bucket. Obviously, the one to Mike Williams for the touchdown. Great read, knowing having situational awareness. I thought Dan Orlovsky did a great job of breaking that play down this morning about 3rd and 9 type situation, knowing where your guys are on the field, recognizing that one deep safety making the move towards the line of scrimmage. The field side had the cover 1 post safety cheating towards the Pickens field side in that. That left a one-on-one situation against a corner on that side with Mike Williams. Orlovsky did a great job of pointing out that because it was a 3rd and 9 situation, probably going to protect the sticks in that situation and come up and kind of squatted a little bit. That allowed Mike Williams to run past him, and then just put that ball placement where he did. And that's a tough catch, man. That's a Willie Mays over the shoulder, but I mean, the ball was right there for him to do it. So you were seeing, several times in these first 3 starts for Russell Wilson, just a veteran quarterback ability that he has, and ability to make key throws. What about the scramble that he had? What was it?
Yeah.
Third
and 4, I think.
Whatever, taking off with the football in that situation, that ended up being a pretty big play in this game as well too. Another 3rd down conversion, I think, to Freiermuth was a big play in this game. I think if you look overall, what was he for this game percentage wise? He was 14 of 28, obviously 50% completion percentage. Not ideal, but boy, when he did connect, they were pretty big ones. And as far as the interception, at least it was an arm punt.
Yeah. I mean, the interception was unfortunate, but just one of those where you throw it out there and not quite sure what happened on that play for that one to kind of be so off. But you take that one when you had so much good overall, and not even to mention, of course, the way the game ended with the veteran ability of Russell Wilson, the hard count at the end on that 4th and 1 play there to get a rookie like Johnny Newton, the Commanders, D tackle, to jump. And I remember in training camp, obviously Wilson was held out for the first week and a half or so of any 11-on-11 interaction because of the calf injury, and the first snaps he took in those team periods where even he was just handing the football off. It was not him throwing, or maybe it'd be a 1-step kind of screen to Deuce Watts, his first reception, first completion that he had in training camp. But I remember the first thing I noticed about Wilson was his cadence and just how loud it was. And you didn't have to look up to know which quarterback was in the period. Whether it was Fields or Wilson, you could just hear it by the cadence and how loud and vocal Wilson's voice was. And those are some of the veteran things that he offers that, Justin Fields didn't. And you get the hard count on that one. You pick on the rookie to get him to jump there. And that's just another example of Wilson being a veteran and doing those small, less tangible things that helps his team win.
Yeah. What a big moment there. You had to wonder, man, when they came out. In fact, I think even Twitter, they're going to try to get him to jump. In the same breath, I wouldn't have been surprised if Mike Tomlin would have went for it there.
I would have been, be honest with you.
He said after the game that obviously we'll never know, and obviously word leaked out from several players saying we weren't going to snap that football whatsoever. But you did kind of wonder in that situation if they were going to try to get him to jump and then run the clock down, take the timeout, then then either decide to go for it or punt. I mean, there was still a little bit of time left in that game, but Mike Thomas said, "I'm a degenerate. You never know." Blah blah blah. But ended up obviously working. Well, it's a good thing we will never know. At this point, because that was a crucial end of the game situation. Got him to jump. Obviously, from there you just get the kneel down out from after that. So. I don't know. I wouldn't have been shocked if Mike Tomlin would have. He's been aggressive sometimes in the past, but obviously, if you don't get that in that short yardage situation, the ball game's probably you're setting them up to lose the ball game in that situation.
Yeah, and as you said, it was the veterans, Tomlin, Russell Wilson, not revealing their plans, but the rookies, come on, rookies, Zach Frazier, Mason McCormick said post-game there was no actual play call there. It was all about just trying to get those guys to jump, and they had no intention of actually running a play. And as aggressive as Tomlin was in this game, he was probably as aggressive in this game as he's been in quite some time as the Steelers head coach. That, I think, would have been a bridge too far. I think y'all recognize that if you don't get that, he put the Commanders on the cusp of field goal range. You would have trusted your defense there to finish that one out with, had they punted, Washington gets the ball backed up, less than a minute left, no timeouts. You like your odds of winning in that situation. But again, just going back to Wilson, the veteran presence of you don't blink in adversity, you keep fighting, you stay even keeled overall. Although I did like after the hard count, after Washington jumped and you knew, okay, the game's over, Wilson kind of showed his personality some. That and the Mike Williams touchdown. You had a little fun with it. It's okay to kind of let your hair down a little bit and just enjoy the moment and to watch the sideline reaction in the on-field reaction from the players after the hard count there. Broderick Jones, Russ, guys in the sideline, Ryan McCollum's just going after it, just celebrating. I thought that was cool. So it was good to see from Russ just be one of the guys for a moment after the Williams touchdown and the hard count. Just have fun out there.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of emotion. Boy, the all those guys, fun to look at the TV tape and the all 22 after they got them to jump there, the reaction that they had. Good. Look, this was just a fun ball game to watch, even though it was sloppy at times and could have obviously been orchestrated better on both sides of football by the offenses, but it was just an entertaining game all the way around. Exciting.
Other thoughts here offensively, the run game, I was a little disappointed by it. It got going in moments, I think late in maybe the first half or second half, and then the one drive that ended with the Jaylen Warren fumble. The run game was getting some movement. I'll have to check the all-22. I wouldn't be surprised if this was the case. It felt like it. The Washington came out playing a lot of too high, wanted to take away the deep ball. That should have allowed some lighter boxes and for Pittsburgh to run the ball with more success. Still ran for $140, but on 43 total rushing attempts in this game. Harris not as efficient. His 100-yard game streak of 3 was broken in this one. Jaylen Warren, the more productive player, of course, had the costly fumble late in this game. Harris did have the touchdown. So the run game, not as good as it should have been overall, but there were some moments of traction. Just a little disappointed given probably the too high looks they were seeing throughout that game.
Yeah, Najee had a couple of nice runs, particularly I think kind of to left of center, right around and around the end. It seemed like they had a little bit more success, I think, to the left side overall. Jaylen Warren, a couple of nice runs. Let's see, how many runs did they have of, let's see, Warren had a 10-yarder, Najee had an 11-yarder, Warren had another 12-yarder in this one, and I think those might have been the 3 longest runs in the game that they had. And obviously they were, I think the big thing that obviously sticks out coming out of that game, or really, what they've done so far on offense in the season. We talked about the red zone efficiency. They were 3 of 4 overall for 75%. You love to see that, obviously, there. And you had to have these touchdowns in this game. Nice to give Chris Boswell. You got kind of a week off. Per se, they were 2 for 2 in goal to go situations, and then you obviously left a touchdown down in that end too on the fumble by Jaylen Warren. And I know Gene Steratore said thought forward progress and all like that. Did you get a sense that there should have been forward progress in that situation?
I'm fine with the way it played out. I think the refs, especially when they are officiating a Steelers game, know the hard charging nature of Najee and Warren. And we've seen those guys be able to churn and get extra yards as the pile kind of moves forward. The O-line was trying to push Warren forward for the first down or into the end zone. So it was close. There is no hard and fast rule on what constitutes forward progress and when do you let the play go. It's really subjective, and the ref's decision there, his discretion. I'm okay with the call. I think that, in most situations, the refs have been letting that one go. And I think that was a fair call there by the refs to let that one play out.
I do as well, too. I wasn't as upset, and Gene Steratore, we know which kind of way he kind of leans in this. I imagine he'll be on DVE talking about it a little bit more this week there. But I was more upset at some of the missed holding calls that I thought were kind of obvious in this one. One on Watt deep in the Commanders in the end zone should have been a safety. Obviously, the one on the field goal attempt we talked about earlier in the show on Dante looked like he was hooked pretty good on that one as well too. So Mike Tomlin said at halftime, we just got to be a more technically sound team. Don't let the referees have a say in this outcome here. And obviously I think that was more in reference to some of the Joey Porter penalties I think in that first half there. But yeah, I mean, just look, a very entertaining game overall. Just you wish that the Steelers could have ran the football a little bit more. I think you would obviously like to seen a higher completion percentage by Russell Wilson. But once again, when the stakes were highest and you needed plays to be made, particularly in that second half, he was getting it done. Defensively, you gave up. Coming out of halftime, you're thinking, okay, Washington's get the ball. Let's get it. Let's see him get a 3 and out or 4 and out or 5 and out or something along those lines there. And to give up something on a quick RPO like they did there was a little bit concerning, but at least they kept them out of the end zone in that situation there.
Any other thoughts here off the top offensively? The O-line, I didn't have a great read on who did well, who didn't. It felt like Broderick Jones had a better game than usual, but I could be wrong about that. The power gap scheme worked well, especially down low on the one touchdown that Najee had running behind McCormick, and really it was the front side that blocked it up well. Darnell McCormick didn't have to do much on that play, had a fourth down conversion off, I think, the same power lead concept there. Any O-line impressions?
It just from the TV tape, and I've watched like 17 plays of the all 22 on offense, so I've barely scratched the surface on that. It just feels like when it was good, and when it was bad, it was bad. There were, I think Isaac Seumalo had the highest grade on PFF, and I think Frazier maybe second behind him. I think obviously the mobility of McCormick, he's going to be just fine. I think if he shores up some things in pass protection, when McCormick, I think he's going to be fine. Frazier, I mean that kid could just get off the ball and get to the second level in a hurry. A couple of nice turnouts up the middle from him. I thought it was a better game overall for Broderick Jones. I mean, I obviously haven't gone through it with a fine-tooth comb. It felt inconsistent overall.
Okay. Yeah. You're gonna have to go back through. I really didn't get a good feel. Like I really couldn't even tell you what the ranking of the O-line would be in my grade or PFF grades or anything like that. But it felt like there was some movement up front when they had to run the ball. Like you said, they were able to run the football, the protection. I know Fowler had a big game, so maybe the pass protection waned a little bit in that one, but we'll have to go back and check the tape on this game for sure.
Yeah, and once again, I didn't watch enough tape and was watching more of schematics and all in the all 22 that I've watched so far. So we'll obviously when we get to I'm trying to see if they've got their full grades up here. When we get to Wednesday, we'll have a full all 22 breakdown. So I just got the I don't even think you've I've got the all 22 sent out, but I don't think you've had a chance to even look at it yet.
No, I've been going through my defensive charting first. Like I usually try to get to first, and then I'll dive headfirst into the all-22. Receivers, George Pickens, some spectacular plays. Lost just an amazing touchdown grab that he had to open up the scoring in that one, adjusting back for the football, a play that only George Pickens is capable of making. I think Ben said on his live stream that it was harder than it needed to be. I don't know. Maybe he could have flipped his hips around, but trying to track that one on the corner out to the outside, it's a little inside. I mean, I just make the play, and Pickens is able to make that play.
Man, I don't know what more you want that kid to do in that situation. Fantastic catch overall. I think he was asked, was that designed to be back shoulder, blah, blah, blah. He said, no, it's just how he had to contort his body to do it. I don't care how you do it, just do it. I mean, you can do a somersault in the air for all I'm concerned. And he could probably do that, but
probably could. Martinez,
but that was quite the catch he had there. Once again, the deep ball, the concentration on the deep ball down the sideline with the defender trying to get the arm up in that one was a fantastic throw, fantastic catch. We continue to see Pickens yak on display on that. What was that? That quick kind of slant bang.
The old bang 8 kind of felt like 34-yarder.
Yeah, for to Pickens, and I think they even highlighted that on the broadcast. You get the ball, and how many times have we talked over the last 3.5, 4 years about getting these guys running out in space with the football instead of these curl comebacks and all like that. You got to give you guys opportunity running with the football, and we're seeing more and more of that as this season goes on. And a guy like Pickens, if you get the football to him out in space, he can get you another 12, 13 yards after the catch. We've seen Freiermuth coming across a couple of times. I highlighted one earlier on one of those on Twitter this morning, one of those throwaways that Russell Wilson had earlier in the game. Ended up being a kind of it was a throwaway, but it was a deep towards the direction of Freiermuth down that right side. He stumbled. I think he got his foot stepped on coming out of center, kind of stumbled. It looks like he's looking at Freiermuth initially, but he goes over to the left side there, and obviously the pressure breaks down kind of quickly in that situation. But boy, Freiermuth had the mailbox flag open up early in that. So there was one opportunity where it felt like they missed a big play, and you kind of wonder had he come out of center cleaner if he would have saw that, because it looked like maybe a blown coverage or something in that situation. Freiermuth was wide open, good 18 something that looked like yards down the field there. But and once again, I haven't gone through all this with a fine-tooth comb, but that was at least one miss that I saw at least early in this game.
Yeah, I think when that play gets disrupted, when your foot gets stepped on, it kind of messes the whole flow and rhythm of the play, and just probably unfortunate, just bad luck there. It's going to happen sometimes, missing the guy over the course of a game, but hopefully you can hit those things in the future. Let's just go back to the Mike Williams touchdown. Calvin Austin, he's getting checked out. Williams has to go in, says after the game, wasn't his play, had never practiced that play before. That's designed for Austin to be on the field. And then Williams subs in. Wilson kind of tells him where to go. Williams seems to have a vague understanding of what the call is, knows he's running deep, knows the ball might go to him. And listen, that was a tough catch. To track it over his shoulder, give him credit for trying to track that one in over the shoulder basket catch like that. And it was a good release, and it looked more explosive than I've seen in the Jets in terms of stemming upfield, getting vertical, stacking the corner, and then finishing the play. Obviously, a great ball there from Russell Wilson under pressure, but man, give credit for the catch there and Williams being clutch. That's what he got brought in for. We talked about it when the trade happened. Wasn't going to be a lot of volume. Played 9 snaps. Of course, he's going to play more as he gets more, integrated into the system. But if he can just catch a couple of those vertical ones, that's all I need him to do. And right now we are 1 for 1, and that one was a big one.
Boy, the 9th snap was the most important one of the game for him, for sure on this. And that was a tough ball to track. But as we said, you hope to get a closer version of Mike Williams to what he was during his time with the Chargers. And as he continues to work back towards that, obviously him and George Pickens' ability to get vertical, and him playing off of the attention that Pickens is going to get in games moving forward, which was quite obvious on the touchdown with the post safety cheating the field side to Pickens to that what they have 3-by-1, I think, in that situation there, and Mike Williams won. And once again, I think it goes back to what Dan Orlovsky said on this, just knowing the situation, coaching them up in that situation, knowing it's a 3rd and 9, and Mike Williams too, the route in itself, he kind of runs right at the defender, steps on his feet a little bit before stacking him, running away from him, and the angle that he's running away was very easy for him to not catch that ball working back towards the corner pylon in that, and for him able to pick that football up and catch it over the shoulder like that was amazing catch. The touchdown to Pat Freiermuth, how many times have we seen them liking that right side and trying to use a pick or a rub in that situation? I think Van Jefferson over there again that time, and all Van Jefferson had to do is take about 2 steps and turn around. Freiermuth, a little bit of hesitation to allow that to happen coming off the line, and you get a perfect separation there towards the pylon, and as the broadcast also said on that, a perfect ball placement by Russell Wilson for the easy touchdown catch on that one.
Van was not going to get called for OPI like the Denver game. He took 2 steps inside, like you said, turned around, stood perfectly still. I didn't even look at the defender, did not want to give the hint or inkling of any indication he was trying to rub there, but it still worked out. And so kudos to Van. I think Arthur Smith does a great job designing some of those concepts in the low red zone, on the goal line, picks and rubs to beat some of the more man coverage heavy teams like we've seen in recent weeks, the Jets, the Giants, and the Commanders. In that instance, the scheme guys open. And just to go back to the Williams touchdown briefly, again, want to give credit for the catch. I think it's harder than people have talked about. Also, just coming in cold, like new team, right. Traded for on Tuesday. You played, that was your 9th snap, like you said. There's 2 minutes left in the game. It's hard to be in cold like that, have your number called and go make the play. If you're in rhythm, you're playing 50 snaps, catching 6-7 balls, you're kind of in the flow of the game. You're coming in off the bench on a route you didn't know before. That just speaks to, I think, his preparation, him being a veteran and a guy ready to meet the moment. And those are the intangible qualities for, I think, a tough situation for him to be in, to maximize that in a must-have type of play, 3rd and 9 situation. Absolutely huge.
Yeah, and one other thing on that play that Dan Orlovsky pointed out is you see at the snap of the football, because it is a blitz situation and the hash that he's on and all like that, Russell Wilson did a great job of just slightly fading out towards that side of the field to give himself that extra, 3/4 of a second to make sure he gets rid of that football. So there's a lot of goodness that happens in that in that play overall, and perfect time for look. Earlier in that drive, I was thinking, man, throw the damn football down the field, because didn't they try to run over to the right side to Najee, but yeah, they got vertical in the right situation there, and 3rd and 9, that's no easy, obviously, conversion type situation, and the team overall went 7 of 16 for 44% on 3rd down, while the Commanders went 5 of 14. So, we talked about looking at the stat book after this game. The Steelers were the better team on 3rd down. They weren't as good as the Commanders in the red zone. Obviously, the Commanders of 3 of 3, but we knew the Steelers had to be better than what they had been in the red zone. They were 75%, 3 of 4. Obviously, I think the fumble in there was the fail, right? And let's see what else stuck out in this. Both teams sacked. Go ahead.
I was going to just talk about some of the hidden plays, like, Wilson drifting to his left that you mentioned. How about on the Pickens touchdown, the pass pro from Cordero Patterson off the left side, line slides to the right. Patterson, the backside player there, picks him up perfectly.
Right.
The huge plays. Jalen Warren's been, great in pass protection throughout his career. Najee can pass protect. Patterson, not really known for pass pro. That was a big time pickup, pocket clean, and then gave time Wilson to fire that one to Pickens.
Yeah, he had up a little bit of grass on that, making sure he got out there to him. on that as well too. So that was obviously give Russell Wilson that little bit of extra time to deliver that football to George Pickens. So, yeah, I mean, what other hidden plays were in this game?
I'll probably have
Talking
to go
about
through the
that.
tape to find some of those Easter eggs. Those are kind of the ones off the top of my head. Yeah, I think you mentioned, like you said, the Russell Wilson scramble was certainly big. I'm just thinking offensively, some of the hidden plays right now, but I think we kind of hit on some of the key moments.
All right, let's talk about the fake punt.
These things are always results oriented and thought of in that sense of if they work, great call. If they don't work, terrible call. I like the call, even knowing the outcome and the ugly result of it all. James Pierre, wide open, sure first down, potentially more, drops it. It was a good call. It was the right call to make. It was there, executed perfectly up until, I mean, if you had a freeze frame, the moment before Pierre drops it and you showed somebody and said, was this a good call? Everyone would say, yes, he's wide open. You have it, hit it. And then, of course, the outcome there, it's going to dictate a lot of the feelings on that one. I know the risk of it all. Obviously, if it doesn't work out, you're on your 10-yard line. And that's what ultimately happened. Washington punched the ball in the end zone. But, Pittsburgh saw it on tape. I had a film review up on the site this morning showing what Pittsburgh saw. The Commanders in week 8 against Chicago were showing those looks on fourth down when the punt team was backed up. They would bring their jammers in tight and they would have those guys rush and they would drop out some interior players to block. And so Pittsburgh saw that and said, let's counter it. And it was there for the taking. It was executed perfectly until it wasn't. And so I'm going to trust process over results. And I think it was the right call. It was a good call.
I will take you through my entire thought process as that happened. I look up and I say, wait, what? That was
visible confusion was my reaction too.
Yeah, because they had the deep end zone shot too, right?
Yeah, it's kind of tough to see.
So you're thinking, you just kind of, because of the camera angle and all like that, at snapping the football, my first reaction was, what?
That snap was it? Yeah,
I was just trying to get my bearings of what's happening on the play. All right. Once I knew what and then the realization of, he dropped it. That was the second. And then the next moment, you're seeing the replay, and I think, and I know my reaction was, I like the call. My next reaction after that, and particularly after your breakdown this morning and showing, look, I mean, he was uncovered there. Just and it is very results. You don't get that. People say, I can't believe you made that call deep in your own end. If you catch it, oh my God, what a you're getting that South Park balls in the wheelbarrow gift floating around. And then when you look at what you found on tape, where if they got that certain look that they had seen from Washington, it's no wonder why they did that. And I think they said they had practiced it during the week and all like that. So they obviously had scouted that, and they said, look, if we get this, and even if it's our own in our own end, if we, we're going to run this. And I don't blame them. I love the call. And I liked it in the moment. I loved it after seeing your breakdown on it, because that's something that they worked on doing in that situation. This just wasn't a fly by the seat call in the situation there. They didn't execute it. And boy, Danny Smith was about to come out of his skin over there on the sideline. The reaction to him, and Mike Tomlin turns around in disgust, and you just didn't make the play. And how many times are we even going to see something like that during the season?
Not again. I'll tell you that much. Not this year. I don't think so.
You pick your shots, and that's why you scout these things out, and that's why Danny Smith's so good, at what he does. But it all comes down to execution, and it's easy to look. It could have been and was in the moment a huge turning point in the game, because you give the Washington Commanders the ball deep down in your own end, and you kind of change the momentum in the game in that situation. But it was the right call, and once again, I liked it in the moment. I loved it after seeing your breakdown this morning.
I think my initial thought after all of the thoughts that you shared, which were mine as well, of what that just happened. Oh my God, he dropped it. Oh, that sucks so much. Is hope they don't lose this game, because that's all we're talking about. If they do lose this game, and James Pierre can take some solace in a victory and hopefully sleep a little bit better. Last night, I'm sure, was still going to weigh on him pretty heavily overall. Yeah, just to be clear about this is not, like you said, a spur of the moment type thing of, hey guys, let's just run this fake here on the off chance the Commanders leave our gunner uncovered. This is a check built in of saying this is on tape. Whenever the punt team is backed up, 4th down and long in your own territory, the Commanders have a tendency to bring their jammers in and show this aggressive look. They leave the gunners uncovered. If we get this look, Miles Killebrew, the personal protector, has the authority to check into this play essentially, and has the autonomy to throw the ball to Pierre. And so this is all pre-planned out based off a tendency and game study in that situation. So that's why it's there. Now, some have said, why are you running it in your own end? The Commanders only do this whenever you're backed up. They're not doing this at midfield, because if they're doing that at midfield, there may be a higher chance for teams to throw the fake. They're betting on teams not wanting to throw the fake because of the risk of if it doesn't work out. Now the Commanders have insanely good field position. Why not throw to Skoranek? Well, in that play, Skoranek was covered up. They did not bring that jammer in on Skoranek, so you can't throw to him. Only Pierre was uncovered, and Pierre was on the boundary side, the shorter side, so it's an easier throw for Miles Killebrew. So those are some of the answers to the questions I know I've gotten and you've gotten over the last 24 hours. So it's just one of those things where you check into it. If the look is there, they got the look. It was a good ball by Killebrew. Pierre just didn't make the play. I know it sucks, but at least it happened so early in the game, it doesn't necessarily define the game where you can recover from it. And so that is probably another calculation that Pittsburgh had in this one. We're going to run it early, and even if it doesn't work, then we can still battle. And that's obviously how the game played out. And the punt gods giveth and the punt gods taketh away. A little bit later in the game, the Commanders muff a punt. Pittsburgh recovers, scores themselves. So it all kind of washed out in that sense.
As I'd like to reference the old Paul radio talk show guy, Paul Harvey, and now you know the rest of the story. And if you listen to this podcast, we have lots of different various, Liz, we got people that are religious reading the website. They don't listen to the podcast. We got people that listen to the podcast that don't go to the website. We got some that are half and half of each. If you listen to this podcast and you don't, go to Steelers Depot, that's obviously fine and all, but you should really go to read the post of what Alex Kozora wrote about, the why that they did this, and it will make a lot more sense after the fact of why they did this and the end of the field that they did this in, and it might change a few opinions, I think, of some people if they do that. But that was a great find by you. Had you recognized that coming into this game, or did you do this after the fact?
No, it was all after the fact. I wish I could get to some more special team study, but just the week gets so busy that I just don't have the time to dedicate to that. But I obviously, when they ran that play, you knew there was some reason behind it. There was something Washington was doing on tape that would show that. Frankly, I thought I would see more. I only saw 2 examples, and I went through darn near every punt against Washington this season. And even I was going into Seattle Seahawks tape last year when Larry Izzo, the Commander special teams coordinator, was in Seattle trying to see, okay, did they show this last year? I didn't go through an exhaustive list of plays. I didn't see it, including in the game against Pittsburgh in 2023. So I thought I'd actually see it more of a tendency, but it did happen twice recently against Chicago. And I think that's what told Pittsburgh, hey, let's give this thing a shot.
All right. That was good work by you.
Let's see what else. Let's go defense now, Dave, and mentioned at top of the show. I felt like a Ravens-like game plan to handle Jaden Daniels in terms of taking him out of the equation in the run game, design quarterback run game. I saw some mesh charge in this one, for example. I think the heavier blitz rate speaks to them trying to clog up every single gap, not give Daniels those escape lanes to extend or scramble. The run game, Washington had some success, but it really was not their type of game. I thought Mike Tomlin said it well post-game. The Steelers defense forced Washington to experience things they really haven't had to deal with, some turbulence where they punted 6 times in this game. They punted 19 times all season coming into this game. They punted on their first 2 possessions that had not happened at all coming into this game. They were poor on third down. They weren't in the red zone quite as often as they were. I think 25% of their drives ended in the red zone. In this game, they had success, but I think they were coming to the game, but like Tomlin said, 47% of their drives were ending in the red zone. So just kind of getting them out of rhythm, out of balance. I thought Washington missed some of their own opportunities and had some plays they probably are kicking themselves for not making. Some guys that were open, some passes that were not completed. But overall, Pittsburgh got them out of rhythm enough that it really kind of made them play a style of game they have not been used to playing this year.
Yeah, they obviously left some plays, a couple of drops in this game, a couple of missed receivers in this game, but just the overall aggressiveness, as we talked at the top of the shows, with the numbers of 5 sent in this game, and the integrity up the middle to not allow a guy like Jaden Daniels to bust you on any scramble. What did he have? Like 5 or 6 yards overall in this game? 4. Ooh. No, 5 yards for 3 attempts, 5 yards, and a long of 4.
Okay. There we knew the numbers were singular. Yeah, some low numbers overall.
And they had 60 rushing yards as a team. They averaged under 2 yards per carry. And once again, from they just felt out of sorts. The Commanders did right from the start with their running game, which once again has been so impressive with all the moving offensive linemen and things of that nature there. So I know Jaden said after the game, we didn't. Yeah. Well, they always seem to say that we got kind of what we expected, but I just think that it wasn't exactly what they expected from the Steelers defense.
I mean, to their credit, they did have success, I thought, in the RPO game, and some of the play action games, some of the glance routes. You mentioned the one to McLaurin. There were some other throws over the middle. Pittsburgh, they combated a couple, but there was some success and some ones that were just missed. One that Zach Ertz should have been caught. That could have been a big play, at least a first down, if not more. Some other ones, some over routes that were close to hitting. So I know Washington's probably going back on the tape saying, man, if we just make 1 or 2 plays, we change the game. We probably win that game. But ultimately, Pittsburgh made enough plays in this one and to stop the run. That was first and foremost. Handle the quarterback run element. That was first and foremost. Pittsburgh did those things. And if you can do that and kind of let the chips where they leave the chips where they lie and so you've done kind of all you can to take them out of their base game plan in this one, because the Commanders had run for $150 plus in 3 straight games and had 60 yards in this game. So that was a big difference.
What a game by Patrick Queen, huh?
His best as a Steeler, it felt like. We'll have to see the all 22, but his range, his impact plays, 2 tackles for a loss, even that read option that Daniels ran to the sideline where Queen's able to chase him down, his pursuit, his open field speed, which we knew he had. I saw that back in training camp. We saw it in Baltimore last year. It's not a surprise, but good to see they get a pass breakup in coverage as well. So yeah, it felt like a clean game. Communication felt pretty clean too. I mean, I don't know how you felt of it, but I felt like Pittsburgh was in good position throughout the game.
Yeah, him and Cameron Sutton converging on that one pass breakup over the middle there. As you mentioned, tracked down Jaden Daniels. That could have been a lot worse over on that play over there. Deshaun Elliott, I think, had a couple of TFLs in this game. He keeps showing up. Cam Hayward, still Cam Hayward, that long arm on that sack, on his first sack, driving all the way back. Nice pressure on the edge. I thought Highsmith, until he went out, was playing a pretty good game. Obviously, TJ Watt, not as impactful because of all the attention that he got. But late in the game, he impacted one of those incomplete passes, almost getting to Daniels over there. We mentioned the Keanu Benton key tackle of Daniels that you pointed out there. Landon Roberts had 5 total tackles in this game. Preston Smith, did they finish that one drive with a touchdown that was it? I forget what the running back was.
The open field tackle that Smith had.
Yeah, it saved a touchdown.
Yeah, but I think the Commanders did finish that with a touchdown, I believe. But still, a great play because it did save a touchdown.
Right. Right. So I thought that was impactful. They tried to throw that kind of trick play type thing, and where they looked like they were going to want to throw the ball back to Jaden Daniels with the wall on the other side. I think Preston Smith had a role in that, as did Alex Highsmith for breaking through that wall on the other side. Had they even gotten that off, that probably doesn't go for anywhere there. Obviously, Mika Fitzpatrick and KZ converging on that fourth down tackle was huge. Even though Pierre, had given up, I think, a couple of completions when he came into the game, him recovering on that underthrow that we talked about on, I think was it the second or the third down play?
Third down.
Late in the game was a huge play. Just in big moments, especially in the second half of games. Once you got past that touchdown drive of theirs, right off the start there to open up the third quarter, I thought the defense, settled down overall. But Washington did leave some plays on the field, but it was, I was starting to get a little bit worried late in that first half with the way Washington was kind of moving the ball. But if this team does one thing well on defense, it's correct in the second half. Once again, albeit outside that double explosive play on the RPO to Terry McLaurin coming out of the tunnel there, and that was the first points this year that this team's given up in the third quarter, and obviously they did not give up any fourth quarter points in this.
Yeah, you said it well, Dave. Pittsburgh making the plays, you're right, at the end of the half, because Washington double dipped. They got the touchdown end of the first half and the touchdown when they received the opening kickoff of the third quarter. And that's such a big thing to people to do that, to really swing 14 points in your favor. But the last 5 possessions, I think it went something like punt, field goal, punt down, something like that. 3 points was it in the shutout in the fourth quarter, as you said. So that was, Pittsburgh buckling down, and really good after halftime, even though they allowed that touchdown out of the break. Still were able to clamp things down. What's the stat? Pittsburgh's outscored the opposition. I think maybe Adamski had it like 180 to 55. Maybe not 180, but they're certainly way up. Their point differential is heavily in their favor and Pittsburgh's favor in the second half of these games. Washington, Dave, ran a grand total of 11 plays in the fourth quarter of this game. And so they just did not have the ball. Pittsburgh got their stops, and they really controlled the fourth quarter and got the win because of it.
I'll tell you one that I got circled here in red, meant to get to here of a key play in this game. 2nd and 16 from the Steelers 48 with 4:40 left in the game. I mean, you're behind the chains in that situation because 1st and 10, you had an illegal formation with the uncovered tackle on that. And you can see, I think, George Pickens look around there. I think they knew it because he's trying to motion to see. Anyway, they got the penalty there for the illegal formation, 5 yards that negated Najee going for seven yards, and then on second down you had that run to Najee right in that lost a yard. So you're facing and it's obviously 4 down territory in that situation there. But man, facing a 2nd and 16, that's a tough situation in that. Russell Wilson hitting Calvin Austin over there on the right side for the 13 yards, a play that Calvin Austin was injured on, gets you a lot of that back and sets up a very, very manageable third down situation in that. How big was that play right there? Because the next one, 3rd and 3, you get that pass short over the middle to Freiermuth to move the chains, keeps that drive well alive in that situation. But you want to talk about a hidden play in this game, it would have probably been that 2nd and 16. And you never know how these things are going to play out. And Austin going down injured obviously brings Mike Williams into the into the game. And 4 plays later, you're connecting with him on a touchdown. So that play had a lot of cumulative impact on this game. That 2nd and 16 to Austin.
As you say, it's funny how these things work out, and that's a great call by you. That's going to be a good candidate for my forgotten play that really impacted the game series I've been doing the last couple of weeks. That one, the Benton tackle, is going to be, I think, right up there. And that was an extended play too, wasn't it? Wilson hitting Austin. That was kind of a scramble where Wilson, I think, ran back to his right side and found Austin and took a shot. So yeah, that was not even in structure, just kind of on the fly, Austin making that play. So a lot happening there. Yeah, Pittsburgh winning the fourth quarter moments, which is what they've done throughout the season, Cowboys game really aside. And they did it again here in this one to get their 7th victory of the season.
I mean, what happens if you get sacked there? What happens if it's an incomplete pass? I mean, obviously you could do this, go through all the whole play, play by play, do this. But I mean, you want to talk about a crucial turning point in the game, and even though you didn't get the first down in that situation, and you're coming off of shooting yourself in the foot with a penalty, that was a big play.
Even the one that gets forgotten about, the 3rd and 8 run by Patterson on the left side, they tried to run that early in the game and it went nowhere. And when Patterson first got the handoff, I thought for sure he was going to get the first down because he felt like he had the edge and he was in the clear, but Washington rallied and stopped him just short. But still, getting 7 yards on 3rd and 8 in an obvious run situation where Washington is selling out to stop the run, that puts you in position to do the hard count on 4th and 1. Another hidden play of the game.
Right. Yeah.
Just going back to the defense here, anything else? Yeah, Highsmith I thought was having a pretty strong game, ton of pressures in my notes before going down in this one. They used Cam Sutton more in the second half. What they did was they had a couple different wrinkles of packages to deal with Washington. They would come out in their, you can call it base nickel, where they would have their 3-4, 3 down linemen, 4 outside linebackers. They would roll out 3 corners and only 1 safety. So Elliott would come off the field, Sutton would come on. Against 11 personnel, they would still have their run structure or their 3-4 with 3 corners to defend the 3 receivers with just the 1 safety. And so that's how Sutton largely played in this game. Also played in dime packages, replacing Terrell Edmunds as the 6 DB. But they had a wrinkle in there to try to balance how do we handle 11 personnel still wanting to stop and respect the run while defending the pass. That's what they came up with, and that's the flexibility that Cam Sutton offers you.
He played 19 snaps in this game.
Yeah, and had a breakup on the sideline. I think that was a downfield throw that he got his hand on. I think on, I want to say McCaffrey, Luke McCaffrey, the rookie. So some impact plays there from Sutton. Also, continuation of Landon Roberts seeing more and more playing time, really eating into Peyton Wilson's snaps, Dave. The snap count should reflect that.
43 to 13.
Yeah, even in nickel packages, because when they started the year, it was every nickel situation. Wilson would come in, every base 3-4 grouping. Roberts would play. The last 3 weeks or so, really since the Raiders game, I want to say, Roberts has been getting some nickel work, and that's been increasing because of what he can do against the run, and Wilson not being quite as strong between the tackles, playing downhill. And so that really has furthered, and Wilson's not, I wouldn't say phased out, but certainly having his role reduced.
Is this probably because they expected more guards and tackles on the move and stuff to be able to take that stuff on?
I mean, I think it's just happened a lot against teams that can run the ball well, or teams that want to run some more multiple tight end looks where Pittsburgh kind of wants to respect both run and pass. But I think Wilson's not been as he's been great out in space in pursuit, but I think between the tackles trying to play downhill, he's been a little iffy. And of course, that's Robert's bread and butter. And so I think it's just trying to make sure Pittsburgh has been really sturdy against the run, especially after getting gashed by the Giants. I think you're trying to really stop the run first and making sure those things are buttoned up.
And with the Ravens up next and Derrick Henry and what they like to do, probably going to see more of a split here with Roberts and Wilson, right?
Yeah, that's going to be an Landon Roberts type of game for sure. Yeah, I mean, with the 12 personnel they run, you're going to probably be in base a fair amount, but I think Pittsburgh will continue to use those wrinkles because you're defending the 2 tight ends that are both real pass threats in Andrews and Likely. So you'll probably, run some of those, I don't know, big nickel you might get in this game. You could get 3 safety looks out there. We'll see what Pittsburgh has ready for the Ravens.
Felt like Darnell Washington on TV tape had a pretty good game as a blocker.
Yeah, I know in the touchdown that Harris had, I feel like Washington got some good movement there. Him and the other guys front side. Don't know what else he did. Didn't think he got a lot of snaps in this game. Only had the 1 reception. I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think every catch he's had has come off a boot action, but it's been effective this year.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I highlighted to him coming out of college, how he was using that passing game.
Right. The Georgia pass game, the play pass game has been pretty similar to how Pittsburgh has structured things overall. Any other thoughts here defensively or just in the game in general? Dave, again, Pittsburgh making the plays late. Making the plays late wins the game.
I thought one other thing that kind of stuck out with at least going through the TV tape that I missed the first time, Calvin Austin being able to hold on to that one punt that he got careened on down deep. I didn't realize how big of a hit that he took on that. Him holding on to the football in that situation was a big moment.
Probably shouldn't have fielded it in the first place,
Right.
but how about the fake where he was able to go to the Commanders' coverage team to targeting him, and that ball went in the end zone for a touchback instead. That was a touchdown drive Pittsburgh got off there. So, yeah, Austin's been a tough guy, and not always seeing the volume there. Wouldn't expect him to, but making some plays.
I thought Corliss Waitman, except for one punt, had another fantastic day. In fact, I think he was even after the first three or something. I said, how about this Corliss Waitman or something to that effect? And I think the next one was at 30, the one out of the end zone for like 38 yards or something like that. But he continues to get it done. Had 3 of his 5 inside the 20 and had a 42.4 average overall, long of 51. Just keeps getting it done.
Yeah, and in that one that was kind of a clunker, there was a lot of pressure on that one. So I'm just kind of happy that one got off clean. I almost thought it was tipped at first because it kind of felt like the way the ball was maybe fluttering in the air. I don't think it actually was, but just happy that one got off in your own end zone type of situation. Yeah, first time Pittsburgh has won a game without attempting a field goal since 2020. So it's been a long time for that. Let's see, what else do I have? Mike Williams, the third Steelers receiver since 1970 to have a 30-yard touchdown on his first career catch in his first career game as a Steeler. Want to take a guess on the other? You've probably seen the tweet, but you want to guess who the other two were, Dave?
Read the stat off.
Yeah. First game as a Steeler, first catch to be a 30-plus yard touchdown. There's been 2 of them since 1970. You probably have seen the stat, but
no. Was Martavis one of them?
Yeah, Martavis was one of them in his debut in 2014. And then
that was against the Texans, right?
Yeah, that was a Texans game on that kind of crazy tear he had his rookie season. And then Lynn Swann in 1974 had a 54-yard catch against the Baltimore Colts. And took a lot of work to find. I was listening to the radio broadcast in 1974 to figure out if that was Swann's first catch, and it was. So took some work, but Williams one of 3 that I'm aware of to do it since 1970.
I thought the kick coverage game could have been a little bit better for the Steelers. Austin Eckler had 4 of them for 118 yards, 29.5 average, had that 39-yarder within there. I think that was in the second half maybe. But other than that, not I don't have, I mentioned Ben Skoranek being a great gunner. That's really all I have. We covered the fake punt, obviously. So that's all I have, I think, on special teams.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Eckler has been a return. I think he has a return touchdown or a long return this year, and so that was an asset to them. But I want to touch upon that point. There were back-to-back possessions that were really critical in this one. It was third quarter, 7:56 left. The Commanders, after a 39-yard return by Eckler, gets out to Washington's 46. They don't move the ball at all. They go 3 and out there. There's a holding call, but they don't move an inch. They punt the ball away. Next possession was that Waitman 34-yarder. The Commanders start the drive at the Steelers' 42-yard line. They only get a field goal. So they had a drive where they started at their 46, a drive where they started at Pittsburgh's 42, and combined got 3 points off of that. That's a huge stand by the defense to make those plays when they're backed up, and Washington has fantastic field position. To only allow a collective field goal in those moments, it's really impressive.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting stat that you had, that they ran, 15 plays in the fourth quarter?
11. Looks like 11 plays in the fourth quarter. And that's kind of like the Chargers game, I think it was, where the Chargers just did not have the ball in the fourth quarter.
It says 13. Did they have a penalty in there?
There might have been penalties. I'm counting. It wasn't in my stats of the week. I was just counting it here as we're talking. But 11, 13, whatever the stat was, I mean, it was not many plays. Pittsburgh ran, how many plays did they run in the fourth quarter? 20?
25.
Yeah, 25 to 13 or whatever the situation is. it's a big dominance day for Pittsburgh. I do think on the Preston Smith, he was credited with a sack. I wonder if they're going to change that. I felt like Benton should have gotten that sack. Felt like he was more making the play there. They were both kind of containing it, but wonder if that'll get changed by by Elias.
All right, I'll have to go back and look at that one.
It was one of the weird like quarterback runs that Daniels had. I don't know. Not a traditional looking pass play, kind of a weird one overall, but they gave it to Preston Smith.
All right,
Dave. Any other final thoughts?
No, I think we've got a lot of it knocked out here.
All right, let's get to some reader emails and close out today's show. No live stream tonight, by the way. We did one last week, so we'll do one next Monday after the Ravens game. And let's see, just to recap, Pittsburgh 7-2, Baltimore 7-3 after beating the Bengals. Bengals 4-6. The Browns were on a bye, so they are 2-7. It is, I think you had the stat or the standings. The Chiefs are the 1 seed as of right now. Buffalo 2 seed, Pittsburgh 3 seed, and I think Baltimore would be the 5 seed, the top wildcard team.
All right, just a few in here. Alex, Matt McGrath says, really weird question. Is Zach Frazier doing something wrong? He seems great watching his reps, but run offense looks way better with McCollum than Frazier. I think Frazier's playing fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't let the small sample sizes dictate too much. We'll have to see the tape on this one, but I mean, they ran the ball well against the Giants and the Jets and had some success there. But I wouldn't freak out over the one game thing. It may not be on Frazier, and I wouldn't make too much out of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I think Frazier. Now, look, I don't want to take anything away from what I mean. Obviously, Ryan McCollum played really well, right? During his time, really well. I thought overall a lot better than what I expected. So I don't want to take anything away from him, but I think Zach Frazier's playing just fine at this point. Let's see what else we have here. We've got Todd Jensler says, TJ Watt, I know he seems to have more pedestrian numbers this year, but why doesn't TJ Watt ever get a holding call? Some are very egregious and he never gets the call. It brings questions into the integrity of officiating for sure. That should have been a safety. Also, should he move up and down the line more? We've talked a little bit about this. I don't think, do we even see him on the other side in this game?
No, in my charting, I can recall he did not flip.
Okay. I don't remember him flipping as well. So what about him not getting hold calls?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't make the calls on that one. I know on the rip move that there's a carve out in the rule book that basically says in a lot of those cases, unless the linebacker's forward movement is impeded, they're not going to call you for a hold because you're kind of the one enacting the rip move that's looking like a hold. And so that's the old James Harrison thing. Why didn't Harrison get those calls? There's kind of a carve out that gives a little bit of leeway to the tackle there. That wasn't the case on the end zone one on Trent Scott. He just was truly held. They missed it, but what are you going to do?
Bryce writes in, big win for us this past Sunday. Some thoughts. He says, sorry, Alex, but you are wrong. That fake punt was bad process. He says, Steelers finally playing with an early lead for a change, backed up on the 10, throwing to James Pierre, who is not super reliable. Defense controlling the game early on, and we faked that punt. Oh, vey, he writes. It ain't about the result. That's just bad process, period. I think Bryce is wrong.
Yeah, we can disagree. I mean, you can have the opinion of it's just not worth the risk there. If you get the first down, you still are not in position to score. And so you can debate all that. When I say the process, though, I talk about, did you get the look that you wanted? Was Washington doing something that compelled you to say, hey, let's plan for this, let's practice this, and you got the look that you wanted, and it was there. And I would just beg the question of, if it did work, if Pierre did make the catch, are we all celebrating that and saying what a great play by Danny Smith, and we're all doing the Danny Smith memes and Danny Smith forever and chewing gum, all that kind of stuff? I think we all likely are celebrating that moment. So that's why I kind of sit there and say, if I put the shoe in the other foot and pretend the play worked, then was it a good call? Was it a good process? And I would say yes to that. So I'm trying to be consistent, even though the result was not what we all wanted.
Bryce, you need to go read that post that Alex did this morning on why they did it. Number 2, he writes, you heard it here. If the Steelers don't figure out a way to use the middle of the field on offense more effectively, then there is definitely a ceiling on how far this offense can go. Are you concerned with Freiermuth's ability to shake the tight man coverage consistently and create space over the middle? You can win without throwing the football down the field, 15 times to the middle of the field. Coverages dictate a lot of this, a lot of times here. Would you like to see a few more down the middle be complete? Look, that early one to Pat Freiermuth, that was the pass interference call. That was going to be a completion if Freiermuth's not hooked in that situation.
True. That's a good point. I forgot about that play. That's a really good call.
So will they not be a contender if they don't use the middle of the field more than 8 yards down the field more, Alex? Do you agree with that assessment?
I mean, I get the thought behind it. You want to be as complete as possible. What if you face a team that plays a lot of too high, that really takes away those vertical deep shots, as Washington was kind of doing throughout early portions of this game? But man, they're still scoring. I mean, they're averaging with 30 points per game their last 4. I mean, as long as you have that personality, identity, as long as you can run the ball against those too high looks, if teams try to take away those outside vertical shots, I don't think I'll look back on this season, no matter how it ends up, and say, Dave, I just think that was the number one reason why this team faltered and didn't win a Super Bowl was because of the lack of the middle of the field. I don't think that's going to be my conclusion.
That's me as well too, and I think you got to look at even though it's not exactly middle of the field, the way they're starting to use some of these guys a little bit more. We mentioned the George Pickens play earlier on kind of that bang. Getting the ball in the player's hands, moving in spaces, to me is a lot more important than using the middle of the field.
Yeah, right. And they did that in this game. On that one, there was another slant flat concept. I think on third down that they hit, there was one where they ended up not converting because the ball wasn't really out in front of Pickens. But just keep watching, keep giving it more time.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it plays out. Okay, that's it from Bryce. Let me see what else we have here. Cameron Andrews says, happy Victory Monday, Dave and Alex. I'm from the DC area. Was at the game. Oh, that's another thing he's talking about here. That energy was electric. Steelers Nation took over that stadium. My question, if CA3 Calvin Austin III is in concussion protocol, who would be the next up punt returner? He says Patterson or Scotty Miller. Also with Highsmith injury, do you think we'll see more of Moon again? First and foremost, we talked about this earlier in the week. Did we wonder if the Steelers Nation would take over that stadium? They, spoiler alert, they did. Those red towels that Washington was handing out, you wouldn't have known it. Really there. Just Steeler fans did a fantastic job taking that place over there. If Calvin Austin's in concussion protocol and could not play, who's next up punt returner?
Probably Scotty Miller would get the hat and do the punt return, where Patterson's never done punts before, and so I assume Miller would get the nod there.
And also, if Highsmith is down with this ankle, obviously you hope to have Herbig back. So your top 3 would obviously be Watt, Herbig, and Preston Smith. Moon's been active, so that wouldn't change. Might he pick up a couple of snaps in some certain situations? Yeah, I suppose. But you traded for Preston Smith. You're getting Herbig back. Your top 3 are squared away. So I wouldn't spend much time worrying about Moon again, except for maybe a couple of snaps a game as a rest replacement.
Right. He'd still be the number 4, provided that Herbig comes back. Moon did not play a defensive snap yesterday. Now they may limit Herbig a little bit in his first game back. Moon might get a couple, but as you said, it'd be 5 or 6 at most.
Okay, I think we got through all the emails here. I think we broke it down pretty good. Not having dissected the all 22, which we will do by Wednesday to talk about. The players are off today. Coaches, Mike Thomas not speaking today, obviously. So just going to be a lot of fun recapping on the site of a lot of things that made your meet. Steelers are getting a lot of flack. This team is 7-2 right now. They're in a lot better shape than I thought they would be. They're a lot better team, top to bottom. that I thought they would be at this point. I think they got something like a 90% chance at making the playoffs now. It would take a huge collapse for this team to not make the playoffs right now. This is a playoff team right now. Obviously, you got some big games coming up against the AFC North, but there is no reason right now to not think that not only is this going to be a playoff team, this is a team that matches up well, it seems like, with every team in the AFC. Alex, there are just 6 teams in the AFC right now with a winning record right now.
Wow, really?
Yeah, those teams are Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Houston, Baltimore, and the Chargers. Denver is 500 at 5-5 right now. So only 6 teams in the AFC have winning records. A lot of these teams.
How many in the NFC? Do you know, just for the comparison's sake? I mean, it feels like that feels low.
8 teams in the NFC with winning records right now, and I think the Rams can become. If the Rams play tonight, right, the Rams can become a 9th team in the AFC if they beat the Dolphins tonight. You got a lot of teams that are out of this thing. I'm gonna say something else I was wrong about. The Jets ain't it. I thought the Jets were a better team than what they are, and man, they just got absolutely shellacked by the Cardinals yesterday. The Jets are 3-7. Bet Mike Williams is glad to be out of there.
I bet. Let me admit something. I was wrong. To give you credit, you picked Pittsburgh to win. I picked Washington. That was, I think, our first division.
I picked them by 1 point. I was almost got it right on the money too.
What was your prediction? Yeah, someone asked me, did you get it perfectly right? I couldn't remember your score prediction in the craziness last night. 27-26 or something?
I think I had it 27-26.
Yeah, you were super close. And not that I was rooting for Washington to win, but I had said 30-28. Had that field goal happen, it would have been 32-28. But happy to be wrong. And kudos to you for picking that one there correctly, Dave.
Getting back to this thing, I mean, Alex, is this a playoff team?
Oh, yeah. The question is no longer about is this a playoff team? It's about how much of a threat are they in the playoffs? Can they win a playoff game? Can they make a run at this thing? And, we're hearing from the national media and local media Super Bowl talk. And I don't really put on that hat until the playoffs when I kind of have the whole regular season at my back. But, it's refreshing to hear about those things. Not that you want to put the cart before the horse. You got the game against Baltimore, really tough AFC North slate, just tough schedule in general. The rest of the way, there probably will be some speed bumps in the road, but this is not a question about are they playoff caliber. It's are they Super Bowl caliber? Are they AFC title game caliber? It's how much of a threat can they ultimately become?
There were 2 things I was concerned about this team heading into the season: the wide receiver depth and the overall play of the quarterback. Russell Wilson's got an adjusted net yards passing attempt number of well over 8 right now. I still would expect that to kind of correct a little bit more in the 7 range, but if he does that, absolutely fantastic. 6 touchdowns, just 1 interception so far for Russell Wilson. You go out and get a guy like Mike Williams now, and you kind of wondered about how impactful that move could be, and in just 1 game and 9 snaps, I'd say it's pretty damn impactful so far. So kudos to them. Thought that defense would probably be a little bit better than what they've been these last few games, but there's plenty of time to correct that. Look, I didn't think this team. I had them at 9-8, and obviously not winning a playoff game. I think this is obviously a playoff team now, and I think this team matches up well. I mean, look, one thing that you say in our weekly picks about Kansas City is, man, they don't cover a lot. They win games, and they don't cover a lot. They got away with one yesterday against Denver. I mean, what team in the AFC does this team not match up well against?
Yeah, there's no. Well, I mean, the Chiefs game will be one to watch because Mahomes has always had Pittsburgh's number. Now, the Chiefs' offense is not nearly as potent as it has been, but I'm just not going to take that to the bank. I mean, that'll be a really good litmus test of how well this defense and this team in general can match against Mahomes, who has always dominated them. But yeah, there is no to me, like obviously the Chiefs are undefeated, they're 9-0, but they're not like the clear front runners
They're
they
not
were.
juggernauts, yeah.
Yeah, in past years, where it just felt like there's just no way to even stop them or hang with them. Buffalo, they're going to be a problem with the elite quarterback play of Josh Allen, but it's not like again they're this insurmountable, invincible type of team. Obviously, there's Baltimore, but they got their pass defense issues, and Pittsburgh has played Baltimore as well as any team has played them in the Lamar Jackson era. So yeah, you can make a case for Pittsburgh to hang and to beat any AFC team right now.
I mean, they are legitimately and it depends on what you want to think about Baltimore, but Baltimore's defense is very suspect. Kyle Hamilton's banged up right now, as well. Going to be interesting to see the status on him. Baltimore's offense is a whole different story. You got to score some points to beat them. But legitimately, and this is a Captain Obvious, they're one of the top 4 teams in the AFC.
Yeah,
I don't think I'm going out on a limb in saying that. And you can rank those 4: Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore, however you seem fit. But man, you get in the tournament and you get healthy at the right time, and maybe this is a Super Bowl. I understand why the narrative is that this could potentially be a Super Bowl contending team at this point. I want to see a little bit more, but this team has exceeded my expectations through the first 9 games.
Where's Pittsburgh at from a points per game standpoint offensively? I forgot to check those numbers this morning. Scoring 28 yesterday. They were averaging 23.9 points per game. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th. They are right behind the Chiefs in points per game. How about that sentence to utter after week 10?
Mike Tomlin's got to be a clear coach of the year candidate right now, right?
For sure, he is. Is he the coach of the year? I don't spend a lot of time thinking about those things. Dan Campbell has a case. I still think Dan Quinn has a case in Washington. I think Quinn, depending on how the season finishes out, still would probably get my vote, but Tomlin certainly is right there up there. Would be pretty cool. He's never won it before. Would be a great time for it, but we'll see how the season plays out.
And he's really never in the talk.
Because they never exceed expectations in the sense of they're always expected to be a playoff team, and it's never really a surprise. That award seems to either go for like the Super Bowl, like either clear number 1 seed, or the team that turns it around and has a great season that no one saw coming. And Pittsburgh usually is not in one of those 2 camps.
All right. Enjoy the win, folks. We will officially start Ravens week on Tuesday with Mike Tomlin press conference. Alex and I will be back on Wednesday to recap the All 22. It's a great day to be alive. What a game yesterday. So with that, let's see. You can follow me on Twitter /X at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the donate button. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, SteelersDepot.com. Hit the ad-free button. Follow the directions that way. Thank you for everybody that comes to the site. Thank you for everybody that listens. And with that, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.